How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Altered TCG video here on Red Zone Rogue. You know what? They gave me a spoiler card, and we are going to talk about that today. But we're also going to do a little bit of an update or a recap on how I've been interacting with and enjoying Altered ever since we did that kind of suite of videos a couple months ago. Yeah, the TLDR is I've been very much enjoying Altered. I did back this game on Kickstarter because it looked like it had a lot of interesting mechanics and it looked really fun and interesting to play, but it also had this kind of like unique QR code scanning system that you could like print copies of the cards that you own and all of that kind of stuff. We haven't really seen that come into full fruition yet this year. I'm still kind of waiting for it, so hopefully that is implemented well later in 2025. But yeah, I played every single one of the starter decks with my lovely partner. We had an absolute blast. It's actually one of the rare games that I rope her into playing with me that she actually enjoyed so much that we played through all of the starters multiple times, and we even, you know, kind of found which ones we liked the most. I also went and built a constructed deck of every single faction, and I found that my favorites tend to be Axiom and probably Izmir, I would say. Axiom for sure, and then the second is like, could be Bravos or Ortis, but I think it's Izmir. And today, well, we have an Axiom and a Izmir card, sort of, to spoil. So, yeah, we are now in the spoiler season for set 2, and there are some brand new mechanics. And we're not going to go over everything today. This is going to be a pretty short video, but we are going to go over the core mechanic that interacts with my spoiler card, because when I read my spoiler card, I was like, I think this card's either cracked or it does nothing. It's one of those type of cards where it says every blank it does a thing, and I'm like, okay, anytime you have like a blanket statement in a card game, it's either gonna be really good or absolutely worthless. I think it's actually really good. So in preparation for this, let's talk about the mechanics. So let's go into our overlay. And here we have, this is not our spoiler card. This is prepping for the mechanic, and that's Exhausted Supply. So this is Daring Porter. This card is as you can see, a 3-drop, basically 3-drop, 2/3/2, and they have this mechanic, Exhausted Resupply, which says, put the top card of your deck in reserve, that's the resupply cost, then exhaust it. Exhausted cards can't be played and have no support abilities. So it's kind of like this way to get, you know, more supplies, more resupply, but it's like harder to actually play with them. And there's a bunch of other cards in the set that kind of interact with this that make you, you know, able to play with them, maybe bearing the lead a little bit on that, or make it so your opponent can't play with theirs. So here we have Lord Kelvin. He's a 4/3, 4/3/4. I love the synchronicity of that. And this one says you can exhaust target card in a reserve. Once again, exhausted cards can't be played and have no support ability. So this is something that you would do to your opponent to exhaust their stuff so they can't play them from reserve, which is kind of like a good way to, like, you know, lock them down out of playing some stuff. And so let's go to the spoiler card. So we saw that you can use this to your advantage. You get an ability to resupply, but it comes in exhausted, so you do have that downside. Or you can use this offensively on your opponent to exhaust their stuff so they can't play it. So let me introduce Vike Energy Pioneer. And I think this, like I said, this card is kind of cracked. So it's a 2-drop, 2/2/2. I think those are like decent enough stats. And it just says you can play exhausted cards from your reserve, flat out. So this is just a blanket ability for your side of the board that just says you can play your exhausted cards from reserve. So any of the cards that you get from Exhausted Resupply, anytime your opponent tries to exhaust your stuff, you can just drop your Vike and you can just play them, right? And why I think this is really good is, well, obvious, for those obvious reasons, but it wouldn't be good if this card had a really high cost, because you need to play this card and then be able to play your exhausted cards, right? So this being only a 2-drop, I think is very good. And I actually really like the common version. Let's take a look at the rare version here, and this is, you know, Vike Energy Pioneer, the rare version. It actually has a reduced ability, right? So it's 2-drop, and then 1/2/2 instead of 2/2/2, but it has an extra effect. It says you may play exhausted cards from your reserve, great, and then also exhausted resupply. So you still get, it kind of like works with itself, right? It's an exhausted resupply, but you can still play it. So, you can still have cards that synergize with exhausted cards, but it also allows you to play them. I think this is one of those cards where I think it's defensible whether you take the common card or the rare card for your deck, because if you don't know, in Altered, you can only have a certain number of rare cards in your deck and only a certain number of unique cards in your deck. So you do have to play a certain number of commons. And when you're building your deck, I found that it's good to figure out, okay, which cards can I, go with being common versus what cards I need to be rare. And I think this effect is really good, right? She like synergizes with herself. However, I don't think it's like mandatory for the effect. I think that the big effect is the ability to play cards from your reserve. So I think actually playing the common card could be in consideration when building your deck. And I think if you're playing some reserve strategy, especially if you're playing Axiom, I think it's just a kind of a slam dunk card. So let's show the faction shifted version of this. And I did kind of bury the lead here. I said I have a Axiom card and an Izmir card. Yes, it is Izmir. And so it's just the faction shifted version of the rare Vike. So 2-drop, 1/2/2, same effects. You can play exhausted cards from your reserve, and then it has the exhausted resupply. So now you can have this type of effect, but in your Izmir deck, which I think is very, very cool. Yeah, that's essentially our spoiler card here. I think it's really cool. There's a whole bunch of brand new mechanics in the new set Trial by Frost, and here is the Altered TCG blog, where you can go check out every single one of the cards spoiled thus far. We're not going to do that today. That's not what this video is. If you'd like me to go through all of these, please let me know. If enough people want it, yeah, I'll definitely do it. There's some really interesting cards here, but yeah, I think they're shaping up the set to be really, really cool. And one of the things that I'm gonna see if it has it here. One of the things I'm actually looking forward to the most is that the Tumult cards, your terrain cards, they're adding some new ones, and I'm actually pretty excited for that. That's one of the things that I wanted to see. As far as I can tell, we're not getting any new heroes, but we are getting a bunch of other new cards. I don't mind that they're not doing the new heroes things. Maybe they're not showing the Tumult cards on this website. I did see some pictures of the new Tumult cards, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, there's our spoiler card. Let us know what you think about it in the comment section below. And like I said, this is a game that I've been having a lot of fun with, and a game that, for like all intents and purposes, I personally have been treating it more kind of as like a board game style thing, and just kind of being like, hey, do you want to play some Altered? And then be like, yeah, let's play some Altered. The same way you'd play like a board game. I have all the decks ready. We bring out the little I have the little acrylic track and the little acrylic thingies, and it's just been great. So yeah, I've been digging Altered quite a bit, and I think this new set is going to be a lot of fun to play with, and with all of the new mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm rambling now. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.